Everyone, and welcome to week 13 in environmental science. This week we'll be studying global climate change. This page is meant to help walk you through the related content in chapter 14 in our textbook. So the overview tab contains 5 learning objectives to focus on as you dig into chapter 14. Here are some terms to know. This video resource is meant to help you understand the content on pages 312 through 316 about the greenhouse effect. You're also going to be working with a similar simulation that you see Paul Anderson using in this video in this week's lab. And then on the following pages, I have some tools to help you understand what you're reading about in pages 317 through 328. This one is about some of the climate change models and how they work. And then this is an update. So your book is mostly presenting information from the IPCC, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, the information that they reported out in 2014. So this is a summary of the more recent report that came out in 2023. So this is kind of an update. And this is a link to the update for policymakers from the IPCC in 2023. So, 9 years is a lot. There's been so much research on climate change that I thought it would be good for you guys to see some of this updated information. The last tab presents some of that updated information from the IPCC as it relates to climate change impacts, adaptation, and vulnerability. So this video is from 2022. And then we learned about some of the responses to climate change in pages 329 through 337. This is an IPCC updated video from 2022 about some mitigation strategies. So please let me know if you have any questions as you move through the content of chapter 14 in our textbook. We are going to have a class discussion about climate change mitigation. So certainly there's a ton of information on that tab we were just looking at and in the video from the IPCC in 2022 about mitigation. In this week's discussion, I want you to define mitigation. Make sure you're distinguishing it from adaptation. I want you to comment on how and why climate change mitigation is so different from what you learned about with chlorofluorocarbons and the mitigation of ozone depletion that was legislated through the Montreal Protocol. I also want you to describe which climate change mitigation strategy you think is the most promising. Make sure you're defending your choice with high quality sources of information, including your textbook. Or if you don't feel mitigation is necessary, explain and defend that opinion. As always, make sure you're basing your posts on sound, scientific, economic, and social considerations and cite your sources. Your initial posts are going to be due on Wednesday at the end of the day, with follow-up posts due Saturday at the end of the day. In this week's lab, you are going to do 2 different activities. So for part 1, you're going to use this PhET simulation to fill out this data table. So you can copy this data table into your notes, fill it out as you use the simulation. Then you're going to move to the PhET greenhouse gas simulation using this link. You'll fill out this data table as you move through that simulation, and then also this one, and finally this table. The part 2 of this week's lab is looking at one data set from one lake in Madison, Wisconsin. So it's Lake Mendota. It has been heavily studied and researched because it's right on the campus of the University of Wisconsin-Madison. So you're going to download the ice duration data. This data set started back in the 1850s, and I think I updated it now up through 2023. And you're going to follow these instructions to create a graph that shows ice duration through time. This graph is going to be the subject, and the data presented here in this spreadsheet is going to be the subject of your final lab report in this class. For this week's lab, in addition to turning in those data tables from the simulation and the graph that you make, please answer these questions. The only other two things in the week 13 module are a practice quiz and a graded quiz. So the practice quiz is not timed. You can take it up to 5 times. It's really just here to help you get ready for the graded quiz, which is worth 10 points and is due Saturday at the end of the week. As always, please let me know if you have any questions, and have a great week.